talk about our little bits of Black Widow.
We're talking about our little bits.
Our little tiny comments about Black Widow, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, and I don't necessarily like talking about big moments in a movie before it's come out, because the director intentionally withholds things and does show you things for a reason. And I don't want to be that person to be like, did you see when Dumbledore died in page 64? And yell that outside a theater or something like that.
How about this? We can talk about this and talk around it, and it's still an interesting thing.
Okay. You tee me off with this. You're better. You're way more like TV guy than me. You're
But this isn't TV.
I know, so you can make it real easy.
Well, so here's the thing, and this is where do I talk? Where do I look when I'm talking?
That one? Camera. There you go.
That one right
yep.
There? How you doing? So here's the thing: when we see a preview screening, sometimes they hide stuff from us. For instance, sometimes they'll cut off an end credit scene because they don't want us to blow it. Because some critics, like you're saying, they see it early, they blow it early. Now, Black Widow has an end credit scene, but it doesn't have a mid credit scene, which is unusual.
They end the movie, in my opinion, they end the movie and then there's a credit scene. But it's so quickly, like it fades to black and then the next scene happens. But the next scene is so out of place for everything else that you've watched. It almost feels like the mid-credit scene, and they just moved it in a different way.
Maybe they did, because oftentimes they'll run just the main actors' names.
Yeah.
And then they'll have a scene, and then it's all the effect folks, and then
the last bit's like a funny little
But
tag.
This one, it's just holy cow, tons of people, end credit scene. And I was wondering if they did that for our benefit. Is there a preview version that doesn't have a scene so we can't spoil it?
Interesting.
So I'm wondering if there's going to be a mid scene, a proper mid scene, and an end scene. I don't know. I did think that where it went to black before that last scene, I went, so wait, what happened? And I guess we'll find out. That's great.
Yeah.
And the end credit scene, which we won't spoil, I do think they had to change, because Black Widow, as you know, was supposed to come out ages ago before all this TV does stuff.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they created a scene that would tie into the TV better.
Interesting.
Knowing that it was coming out later.
With Black Widow, I feel like it's kind of, I wrote in my review, it's a phase 1 movie. Like this reminds me of a phase 1 film in the way that it has a lot of creative freedom with some of the stuff that it's doing. It's a lot darker than I've seen Marvel go in some cases.
They keep coming back to the whole thing of little girls are captured for nefarious purposes
and castrated.
And this does happen
and
around the world.
And they make a joke about it.
Not necessarily to make them into super spies, but it does happen. And it's an awful thing. And it drives her whole thing in the movie is to stop this.
Her backstory is undoubtedly probably the darkest out of everybody.
Yeah,
they haven't
nasty.
even covered Tony Stark's Demon in the Bottle story, and they've covered
Not
pretty
really.
much all of. Yeah, they've not done it. He wandered around in a weight room.
Yeah,
that's about all.
They wouldn't let him. Yeah, when he was drinking at that party, that's as far as they got.
But with Black Widow, they seem to be like, show it all. Let him.
You're right. It's a really dark backstory.
But here's what I was thinking throughout this entire film, because I guess I should start by saying I liked the movie. I feel like if it were to be ranked anywhere, it would be ranked towards the middle part of the MCU. It's definitely not like Thor: The Dark World, or in my opinion, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, or Thor: The Dark World, stuff like that.
Or Ultron.
Guardians of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man. I didn't like any of them. But it also just doesn't have anything that moves the needle forward. Everything that you watch, you're thinking to yourself, man, this would have been so much more impactful if it came out during the correct timeline of the film. Because this takes place, this isn't really a spoiler because you know about it in the trailer. This takes place in between Civil War and Infinity War. There's so much to mine there and explore. The fact that we're getting this right now and that it feels kind of like an afterthought. I remember Scarlett Johansson saying, this is a film that it just could not have been made unless it was made right now. I disagree. I think the only reason it was made right now is because they had enough pressure to have to do it right now.
I think there was a demand. Hey, why don't you have a female-centric movie?
Why specifically? Why not Black
so long
Widow?
to get to Captain Marvel, and you had Black Widow the whole time?
You've had Black Widow this whole time. You have the ability to bring her in during the timeline where it fits better. And think how much more impactful certain things would have happened. There's one specific thing in Infinity War that really everybody was confused about. When she shows up and she's got a different hair. Nobody understood that. We were just like, okay, she's just got blonde hair. In this movie, you get to understand that and you know why she's doing it. If you had that impact, so much more depth, the depth that you love from Marvel films. And to think that they didn't have that planned out, if they had had this planned to where there's no way this movie could have been done unless it was done right now, I call BS. I think they came up with it right then because they needed the movie.
And there are a couple, and of course you can go into this movie going, well, Black Widow is going to be fine because she is. But I still got sucked into it so much that there's a scene where I'm going, holy cow, are they going to kill Black Widow? Like it got really bad.
There's stakes, but do you feel them?
I forgot that she's fine. She has her end game. You know what I mean?
That's
but
true.
What I did like about the movie, and I don't think this will spoil it either, is that there were a couple times, you might do this too, as I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking, oh, the character is going to do this next. This is coming up next. And she doesn't do that. She actually responds much more sensibly than I thought she would. I thought she was going to go the full John Wick and be like, show me where the what do they call it? The nursery? What do they call it?
Or the Red Room?
The Red Room, yeah, from nursery. Show me where little kids are. That would have been nasty. Actually, that would have been better.
Welcome to the nursery. Come in and take your bottle made of metal.
I thought she was just going to go full John Wick and just be like cold-hearted and just plow through people to get on her mission. But she's actually, she tries to understand people and form a team and form another family and all that.
It's family-centered. It's just as family-centered as a Fast and Furious movie.
Family.
It really is.
But the thing that they do, I think, really well is they really explain something that they dropped in the first Avengers, just how much red is in her ledger and how much she feels like she has to make up for. Yeah. So much so that when Endgame happens, you understand why she decided this sacrifice, this is going to balance some scales.
You also learn about Budapest in this movie.
Yeah.
No spoilers about what happens, but you do learn about it. Budapest. And
Budapest.
You get these new characters too, like David Harbour. Budapest. What's an accent from Budapest? I got to look that up.
Budapest. But and of course, that's the other thing. They introduced new characters. And I was sitting there going, okay, who's going to die in this movie and all that kind of stuff.
Starts from Hungary.
Budapest. Budapest.
We from Black Widow land.
Black Widow land.
We don't like when Black Widow or Hawkeye comes into Budapest.
Nursery. Go to the nursery.
The Red Room. The Red Room.
So they introduced new characters and,
favorite new character? Do you have a favorite?
Florence Pugh.
Really? I was going David Harbour.
Widow.
I like Florence Pugh.
In fact, I think this movie was sort of written to introduce her.
Oh, it was
because we don't have a Black Widow anymore.
Maybe that's why they were saying there's no other way this movie could have been made, and it's just like cause she's dead in the comic. She's not alive anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
Florence Pugh was good. I like her accent. I'm waiting for it to fade, just like WandaVision. Eventually, it's just everybody who's from somewhere not in America in their third movie ends up just being American within the MCU.
In fact, I watched Ragnarok again, and there's one scene where Chris Hemsworth drops it entirely.
Really?
And it's when he's talking about how Loki turns into a snake. And while he's telling the story, he just lapses into his own voice for a minute. But it's bad. But he's been pretty good about his weird accent, about his weird English, Australian, Nordic thing, what he came up with. I don't know.
You know whose accent slipped a lot? David Harbour's. There's a couple times where he was like, I don't remember what the word was, and I can't really give the line, so I'm just going to make up a line. He's talking with two characters, and he's like, I cannot believe we have been talking about moving to Daytona, Washington. And like just a totally like English accent, like just right back to normal. It was really funny to me. And I love all of his like jokes and stories, maybe tall tales about his
America,
about his experiences. Like, do you remember the time I fought Captain America?
Did he
talk about me? He has so much Russian pride in him about it. He's like, we were best friends.
Did he talk about me?
Yeah. He was really good. You know who I thought was wasted though was Rachel Weisz.
Yeah.
What was she doing in this? I thought
Although-
she had so much more possibility to.
But like we're
character.
saying, they have a lot of people they introduced that they could use now.
That's true.
A lot.
Do you think they'll bring those two back?
Some that I don't want to spoil. So yeah,
that's true.
We can talk afterwards. But I'm like, well, what are they going to do with?
There are some people. You're right. They hinted at certain things that are happening to these characters, but they didn't really explore them. Like there is one character. Oh, he was in the trailer. William Hurt's character.
Right. Yeah.
He's in it. There's a hint to something, but they don't talk about it ever again.
Sorry. Thunderbolt Ross, you mean?
Yes. There's one hint to something.
Sure.
And people that have been on these Reddit things and are always speculating stuff, they're talking. This is one of the things in the list of stuff.
Speculating Red Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it, dude! I was so close to not saying anything. Yeah. Well, they kind of are hinting that he might have had a couple bypass surgeries. That's all they really say.
Well, yeah, they say something about
which hints that he might be desperate for something.
Yeah,
might be desperate for something to help him.
I think they're setting it up, and he even says, "Don't worry about me."
Yeah,
something like that.
That's interesting. And where they end off again is fascinating. But we shouldn't talk any more about it. What was your rating for this?
You know what? There's part of me that's like, it didn't give me that this was great feeling, but at the same time, I did like it. I think Marvel actually responded to some of the criticism of, hey, these are formulaic and they're all the same, because this is a very different Marvel movie. It is phase one-ish, but it's not quite the blowout blue laser beam from space extravaganza thing, because other than Red Guardian, no one has powers.
Yeah.
So it's very much a pugilistic, it's very much a Bondy spy thriller thing. So it is different. It just wasn't what I expected. And it's been 2 years since a Marvel movie, and I've been waiting. I think expectations are going to work against it.
Thank the Disney camera. Thank you, Disney camera.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
finally.
you for giving us our movie.
I do think that people are coming back to the movies going, we want to see a Ragnarok or an Endgame. And what you're going to get is an
Incredible Hulk.
Maybe. But an Iron Man that takes a lot of time building.
Yeah.
Before you actually get to like some impressive, holy cow.
It's a swan song. It's a swan song
set
movie.
Piece, the action piece in the third act is like 20 minutes of straight up mayhem and awesomeness.
It is crazy.
And I'm like, okay, this is, whoa. Like they pull out all the stops there. And it's really cool.
What was your rating though?
I'm in a B-ish area.
B-ish? Okay.
Minus.
I think I've gone 7.5 with my, maybe 7.5 if I watch it again. And some of the moments that I did like in this strike a harder chord. But
there's another preview this week, mainly for people on Wednesday. More audience folks. Wednesday. So we'll,
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what people think. So leave a comment down below once you get there. And from here, let's do